Let's go ahead and have a seat so we can kind of center in, check in with our bodies this morning and see how all the parts are doing. So find your comfortable straight spine. Feel your way into alignment. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale through the mouth. And if you're comfortable with your eyes closed, close your eyes so that you can really tune in to all of the sensations in your body. So regardless what practice we do, we always want to honor whatever's happening in our body. And that might mean that we push harder into poses. It might mean that we back up or even completely skip poses. But we don't know what we need if we don't pay attention to our bodies. So we really tune in. Start to breathe a little deeper and slower. Ujjayi breathing is always a good way to start. Check in with thought processes, emotions, energy, sense of connection. And then using all of that information, we see if there's anything that we need to transform in any of those areas. That's what we do when we set our intention for practice. So bring your palms together in front of your heart. Be very clear about what you intend for your next hour of yoga. And when you're clear on that, take a deeper breath in. Exhale through your mouth. From here, we're going to go straight into downward facing dog. Plant your hands. Pedal the feet a little bit if you feel like you need to. Just kind of ease into lengthening the spine. I know if you don't have an animal, you've seen an animal. This is usually their go-to stretch, right? Downward facing dog, cats and dogs both do it. Take one more breath, and then we're just gonna walk our feet forward and hang and ragdoll for a couple of breaths. Knees are bent, neck is relaxed, arms are just dangling. And on your next inhale, you can come all the way up, reach the arms up and overhead, just stretch up, lift your chest, maybe even look up, take another breath here. And then palms together in front of the heart. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold all the way forward, fingertips down. Look up halfway and lengthen. And then back down. So we're going to step back with our left foot. We'll have a right foot forward lunge. I want you to just hold it for a couple of breaths. We'll ease into our practice this morning. So really be mindful of what you're feeling in your hips here. If you can, allow your hips to sink a little closer to the mat. So we actually want some awareness in the hip region here. Then go ahead and drop your left knee down. We're going to put the right hand on the inside of the right knee. Roll to the outside edge of the right foot. You might need to flex it if you've got knee issues. Gently press on the inside of your right knee. What we're looking for here is some hip sensation. And then just go ahead and extend your right leg all the way. Flex the ankle and toes, lengthen the spine forward. So you're staying present with your deep breathing. In this position, you should be feeling your right hamstring. And then we're going to go ahead and bend the right knee. Just bring the arms up and overhead. Tilt your pelvis under, lift your chest, and allow the hips to move forward. So now we're looking for sensation in the front of the left hip. Keep your pelvis strongly tilted back. You can think of that as tightening the muscles at the base of your left buttock. Then we're going to bring both hands down inside the right foot. Come on to the left forearm or a block, perhaps the right. Take a breath. You want to kind of hug that right knee in towards the torso. So don't let the right foot or leg splay open or out. You want to kind of keep it streamlined. And then if you're feeling extra spunky this morning, you can turn the left toes under and take the left knee off the ground. The idea is to allow the hips to continue sinking downward. You should feel this pretty strongly in your right hamstring, but you're also stretching out your right glute. Take one more breath here. Then come back up onto your hands. We're going to step back to plank position. And just hold your plank for a couple of breaths here. It's always good to get the core engaged first thing in the morning. On your next exhale, lower down however you like, but we're going to go ahead and go all the way to the ground so that we can come into Sphinx pose this first time through, just to lengthen the low back. We'll be working hips today, primarily glutes, and so it's nice to have a nice and spacious lumbar spine before we begin that. From your Sphinx, press into downward facing dog again. So on the second down dog, really maximizing the opportunity to lengthen the spine even more. You want to press through those palms. Reach the hips back, reach the heels down. And then step forward with your left foot. And we're going to hold the lunge here. So same thing, once you kind of get yourself into the pose, you're checking in with what your hips feel like. You're seeing if you can allow that left hip to maybe drop a little closer to the floor. So you might feel it in the front of the right, but we're really working towards getting left hamstring and left glute to stretch a little. Then we'll drop the right knee down, roll to the outside edge of that left foot, flex it if your knee is tweaky, and gently press against the inside of the left knee or thigh. So we're trying to find sensation in the left hip now. And then fully extend the left leg, flex the ankle and toes. Chest is pulling forward if you can, legs as straight as possible. Let's go ahead and bend the left knee. Arms come up and overhead. That pelvis is tilting back, rib cage is lifting, and we're sinking the hips forward to find sensation on the front of the right hip. Remembering to tighten the muscles at the base of the right glute. From here, we'll go ahead and bring both hands down inside the left foot. Come on to your right forearm. You're welcome to use a block. Maybe get the left forearm down. Take a breath. Make sure that left knee is hugging in towards your torso. And then if you want to, purely optional, you can take the right knee off the ground, but you don't have to. I'd be more concerned with keeping that left leg kind of streamlined and not letting it drop open since we're trying to get into the glutes. Hands on either side of the left foot. Go ahead and step forward to your standing forward bend and pause. You can bend your knees if you need to, but I want you to really feel your pelvis tilt forward. So a couple ways to think of this. You can think of trying to poke your tailbone up towards the ceiling, or try and tip your hip bones forward onto your thighs. This is helping to stretch the gluteal muscles. And then inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. And as you exhale, bring your palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. And then exhale, back down. I'd like you to step back with your left foot. Spin the left heel flat, maybe widen your stance, it depends upon you. We're coming up into warrior one. So Virabhadrasana 1, you want your hips rotated forward as much as possible. Arms are up and overhead. Just take a couple of breaths here, kind of fine tuning the pose. So you should feel a little something in the front of the left hip. And we're going to bring our palms together, interlacing the fingers behind the back, squeezing the shoulder blades. I want you to just fold forward, taking your right shoulder to your right thigh. Humble warrior, relax your neck. Now, while you're here, it's really easy to just kind of hang out on that right thigh and go, oh, this is nice. But we're working on hips today, so I want you to continue to think about pulling the right hip back and the left hip forward. You should continue to feel that in the right glute. From here, you're just going to release your hands to the mat. Swivel onto your left toes. Drop your left knee down and walk your right foot over towards the left side of the mat for your first pigeon. Now, I say first because obviously we'll be doing it more than once, but here's the deal. We went into it this way so that you can gently adjust. If you're having knee issues, maybe you keep your weight on your hands and you just stay and get a gentle stretch in the right glute. If you can go a little deeper, maybe you come onto your forearms and walk that left leg back. Be mindful of the right knee. Try flexing the ankle, but wherever you're at, whether you're flattened out with your right foot in your left armpit, or whether you're in a slightly gentler version of your one-leg king pigeon pose, all I want you to do is find some sensation in your right buttock. Now, on this first one, if your knee is okay with it, I want you to play with it a little bit. So usually we talk about pigeon being hips parallel to the ground. If your knee is okay with it, try rolling your glute to the right and then to the left and see where you get the best sensation. Wherever it feels best, that's where I want you to stay. We're here for about 3 more slow, deep breaths. Go ahead and come back up onto your hands. Step straight back. Downward facing dog. Just stretch for a moment. And then shift yourself into plank and flow through the vinyasa of your choice. From your downward facing dog, you're going to step your left foot forward, spin your right heel flat, adjust the feet if you need to. Coming up into warrior one. Remember, our goal is to get our hips to rotate forward. Bring the arms up and overhead. Right leg should be straight, left knee is bent, and of course it's tracking over that second toe of the left foot. You should be able to get a little bit of sensation of stretch on the front of your right hip. We're going to bring the hands behind us, interlace the fingers, squeeze the shoulder blades together, fold forward, humble warrior. Left shoulder to left thigh if you can, neck relaxes. The arms are reaching up. And again, we don't want to just hang out here. Pull the left hip back and the right hip forward. Maybe bend the left knee more. Do what you have to do to get into a wee bit of sensation in your left glute, left hip. And then we're going to release the hands to the mat, swivel onto the right toes, and drop the right knee down. Gently find your way to your first pigeon on the left side, noting if there are any differences from right to left. And maybe you just stay on your hands if your knee is sensitive. This is perfect. It never has to look a certain way. It's all about how it feels, right? And we're trying to get into that left glute. If you like, you can come onto the forearms. Find a spot where you feel sensation. And then again, if your knee can handle it, play with rolling the hips a tiny bit side to side. We'll get to where we're parallel to the floor, but just kind of play. It's your first pigeon. You want to see what's going on. Think of it as exploratory. And then we got 3 more breaths here. As you finish your 3rd breath, step straight back, downward facing dog. Lengthen out, stretch. Shift into plank and take your vinyasa. From this downward facing dog, you can either walk or jump forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale and reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So we're going to go ahead and do a couple of standing pigeon variations, which of course means you'll be balancing on one leg. And this will get us warmed up for going into some deeper pigeons on the mat. So we're going to try and transition these 2 together, but remember, if you need to touch down in between, or if you need to hang on to something, that's cool. We're all working on balance every day, and it's a worthwhile pursuit. So we're going to stand on the right foot first. I want you to cross your left ankle over your right knee, press the left knee out, arms are up and overhead. Poke your tailbone back, begin to bend your right knee and lean out with a very extended spine over your left shin. You should feel this eventually in your left glute. So this is one variation of a standing pigeon. Now, if you can, go ahead and hang on to that left foot. Keep the ankle flexed. Come on back up to standing. Open the knee up to about 90 degrees and start to pull that left foot towards your right armpit. You can control the angle of the leg and the level of stretch, but you should feel it in your left glute. And then release your left foot down. Standing on the left foot, we'll do the same thing for the right side. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Flex the ankle, press the right leg out to the right. Arms are up and overhead. We start to poke the tailbone back. This is so important. Bending the left knee, keeping the chest lifted. Your face and your chest should point forward the entire time as you begin to lean out over your right shin. Remember, you want to feel this in your right glute. Go ahead and reach down, grab that right ankle. Come on back up to standing. Open your knee joint up to about 90 degrees. Then begin to pull your right foot in the direction of your left armpit. Keep that right ankle flexed. We are looking for sensation in the right glute. And you can put your right foot down beside your left foot. Bring your palms together. Take a big inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. You can either walk or jump back to plank. Take a vinyasa. We want to keep the body warm, keep the blood and energy flowing. So we're going to be going into our second pigeon now. I want you to take your right leg behind you, straight back. Bend your right knee. Roll that right hip open towards the ceiling for a moment, opening out the front of the right hip. And then swing your right leg underneath you for pigeon number 2 on the right side. Sliding that left leg back until you feel sensation in your right glute. So as much as possible this time, we kind of want to keep the hips parallel to the ground. Take a few breaths, flattening out as much as possible. Keeping your legs just like they are. We're going to come up onto our hands. Left hand is going to be in the center of the mat. Right hand is going to reach behind you. Now, maybe that's enough, but if you can, I'd like you to try and grab your left foot and start to pull the sole of the left foot towards your right buttock. You should still feel this in your right glute. You should feel it in the front of the left hip. Take one more breath. Release your left leg out, step straight to downward facing dog, extending that right leg. Feel free to pedal the feet. And then we'll do another downward facing scorpion. Take your right leg up, bend the knee, roll the hip bone open. It's always nice to get some blood back into that right leg. Let's go ahead and go straight into down dog again. Shift into plank and take your vinyasa. From here, we're going to take the left leg back, bend the knee, roll that left hip bone open towards the ceiling. Swing it underneath for pigeon number 2 on the left side. Slide your right leg back. This time we are trying to keep hip bones parallel to the ground. Take your time. Try and get as flattened out as you can. It's different for everybody, and it's usually different from the right side to the left. One more breath here. And then we're going to come up onto our hands, keeping the legs just like they are. Bring the right hand to the center of the mat. Left hand reaches behind you. Maybe that's enough, but if you can, you're going to bend your right knee. Get that right foot and try and pull the sole of your right foot towards your left glute. Release out. Plant your hands, step straight to downward facing dog. Pedal the feet if you need to. And then one more time, left leg up, bend the knee, roll the hip bone open, downward facing scorpion. Left foot to the ground, downward facing dog. Shift into plank, take your vinyasa. Lengthen back, lengthen, lengthen. All right, this will be your final round of pigeons. You're probably happy about that. We've got a few variations here. Your right leg is just going to extend behind you this time. Bring it underneath you. Coming into your pigeon again. Stay on your hands this time. Find the place where you feel your right buttock. Now, remember, honor your body. Don't do more than you should. If you can, you're going to reach your left arm underneath you like we do for threading the needle. Maybe even rest on your left shoulder. Your hips will roll, by the way. They're going to roll to the left a little bit, and that's okay. Take your right hand to the ceiling. Those of you flexible enough can reach behind you and grab those right toes that are up by your left rib cage. Whatever feels best to you, do that. Now, come back up onto your hands. Now we're going the other way. You're going to have a seat onto your right glute, your right buttock. Keep your left leg extended, please. Bring your right knee to a 90-degree angle, so an L shape. Flex your foot very strongly. To see what happens this morning, try and get your right elbow or tricep into the arch of the right foot. If it doesn't go, it should be on the floor in front of your right shin. Palms are together in prayer as we lift the chest and look over the left shoulder. Come out of that, stay on your right glute, open that right leg up a little more, but not straight. See if you can nestle your right shoulder inside or behind your right knee or thigh, left hand to the ceiling. As you come out of that, step straight back, downward facing dog. Just for giggles, take that right leg up, bend the knee, roll the hip bone open, blood flow, yay. Right foot back down, downward facing dog. Shift into plank, take a vinyasa. Left leg goes straight back. Bend the knee, swing it underneath you. Final pigeon series on the left. So stay on your hands. Once you find that sensation in your left glute, if you can, right arm will come underneath you like we do for threading the needle. Maybe you can rest on your right shoulder. Your hips will roll a little to the right. That left arm can reach up for the ceiling, or it can reach behind the back to clasp the left toes. Come on back up onto your hands. Sit down onto your left glute, keeping right leg extended if you can. Left knee opens up to 90 degrees. Flex the ankle. See if you can get your left elbow or tricep into the arch of the left foot. If not, it goes in front of the shin on the floor. Palms are together. We twist and look up over the right shoulder. From here, we come out of that, open up, left knee wider than 90 degrees, but not straight. See if you can nestle your left shoulder into the crook of your left knee, right hand to the ceiling. You should feel this quite intently in your left glute. As you come out of this, you're just going to go straight in to downward facing dog. When the left leg goes up, we bend the knee, we roll the hip open. Put the left foot back down, downward facing dog, and then shift into plank to take our vinyasa. Really lengthen out here. You can either walk or jump your feet forward to a standing forward bend. So while you're still leaning forward, separate the feet out, maybe not quite as wide as you normally go for a yogic squat. Maybe a couple inches from the edges of the mat. Make sure your toes are still pointing forward. Keep your hands down because this will help you control, but you're just going to start to drop the buns. Now, those of you that really have the flexibility here, it's okay to take your hands off the mat, but your feet should still be fairly close together and they should be pointing forward. Really nice glute stretch here. Take a couple more breaths. And then you can just find your way to a seated position and extend your legs for Dandasana, staff pose. Find your sit bones. Make sure your spine feels straight and aligned. Close your eyes, activate your legs. Just take a moment and check in. How's the body doing so far? Are you still connected to a beautiful Ujjayi breath? Are you having any thoughts other than your practice right now? Any emotions? Notice your energy. Perhaps you feel more connected to yourself. And then we're going to keep the left leg straight. So we're working on the right glute. You're going to keep your left leg straight. Let's just start by bringing right foot to the inside of the left thigh. Lean out of your left leg for a moment. Come on up, pick your right ankle up, bring it on top of your left thigh, just above the knee. Flex the ankle, lean out again. So you've done lots of standing and prone, face down, pigeon positions. Now we're going to do a seated pigeon position. So keep your right ankle crossed. Hands are behind you for a very straight spine. Bend your left knee. Keep the right ankle flexed. Scooch up if you need to until you feel this in your right glute. Now, you just want to keep the chest lifting and pulling forward, but you do want to keep your buns on the ground. If you have the flexibility, you're welcome to reach around and clasp your left shin, which you can use for leverage to kind of pull the spine even straighter and closer towards your right shin. So take a couple of breaths, finding your best place of sensation in that right glute. If your hands are not on the ground, put them back down. You're going to walk your left foot over until it's underneath your right knee. So in Sanskrit, Agni Stambhasana is stacked logs or fire logs, but a lot of Americans call this double pigeon. So you can see more pigeon, right? Ankles are flexed, shins are vertically stacked. If you need to lean forward, And try and get those forearms on the ground. For those of you that are more flexible, you can certainly put your right tricep in that right foot and twist to the left. We're here for 3 more slow breaths. Just breathe. Come on up from that. Extend your legs out in front of you. Make sure you're on your sit bones. Give the legs a good wiggle. So now we'll work the left glute. So you want to keep your right leg straight. We'll start with the left foot on the inside of the right thigh. Lean out over your right leg. Come on up. Pick the left ankle up. Bring it on top of the right thigh. Flex the ankle. Lean out a little bit. And then we come up for seated pigeon variation. Hands are behind you. Lift your chest. Bend your right knee and you scooch up. Keep that left ankle flexed until you feel this in your left glute. Buns are down, spine is straight. If you prefer, clasp the right shin and use that to continue pulling the heart up and forward. So what we don't want to do is hunch and round the back. We want a very straight spine. We want to make sure that we can feel what we're doing in our left glute. Couple more breaths. And then hands are down if they weren't already. You're going to walk your right foot over until it is underneath your left knee. Don't tuck it up underneath you by your left bum. You want it underneath the left knee. Both ankles flex. Your shins should be parallel. So double pigeon, also known as stacked logs. If you can, you start to lean forward and try and get your forearms to the ground. If you need a deeper stretch, you put your left tricep in the arch of your left foot and twist to the right. Otherwise, just breathe slow, deep breaths. And come on out of that. Extend your legs out. Give them a good wiggle. Make sure you're on your sit bones. And then just lift your chest and start to lay it forward over your thighs. So a seated forward bend, but I want you to think about what we do in our standing forward bends. Imagine that you're tipping your hip bones forward onto the thighs or poking your tailbone back behind you. So you're trying to make sure you're getting that forward tilt of the pelvis. Take a couple more breaths. And then we're going to go ahead and come on to our backs. Hug the knees in. Rock side to side. Last 2 versions of pigeon. On our backs, reclined pigeon. Some people call it dead pigeon. We hopefully will be very alive pigeons. So the first one is also known as a figure 4 stretch. We're working the right glute. Put your left foot on the mat, knee is bent, right ankle crosses the left knee, the ankle flexes. If you can, you reach through and you either grab the back of the left thigh or the front of the left shin, relax your neck, pull your left knee in towards your chest. I like to think of it as pulling my right foot towards my left armpit. You can play with the angle of your legs here, but you're going to have the opportunity to do that even more in just a second. So take a few breaths here. What's nice about doing these in a reclined position is that you're not loading your knee joint with your body weight, and it's also keeping your back really stabilized and flat. So this version has a lot of benefits if you do have tight glutes. Now, remember in our standing balance, we did that kind of cross leg balancing pigeon, and then we grabbed the foot. We're going to do the same thing here. I want you to keep your right foot where it is. Grab it with both hands. Put your left foot back down onto the mat. Maybe open your right knee up to a full 90 degrees and start to pull your right foot towards your left armpit. Now in this position, you can play with it, bringing it closer to the midline, farther away. If you have the flexibility, you're welcome to extend the left leg all the way out onto the ground. Take a few breaths. It's the last pigeon on the right side. And then just go ahead and hug both your knees into your chest, rock side to side. That should feel pretty yummy. Then we're going for the other side. Put your right foot on the mat, knee is bent, left ankle crosses right knee, flex your left ankle. Either grab the back of your right thigh or the front of your right shin and pull the right knee into your chest, or you can think of it as pulling your left foot towards your right armpit. Remember, you can kind of play with the angle here, but you'll get the opportunity to do that even more in just a moment. So let's go ahead and grab our left foot with both hands. Put the right foot flat on the mat to begin with. Pardon me. Open your left knee up to about 90 degrees and start to pull that left foot towards the right armpit again. This time maybe playing with bringing the leg farther outside the body or closer to the midline. If you've got the flexibility, you can extend your right leg all the way out onto the mat. You're the one in charge of this. The idea is to find just the optimum sensation in your left glute, left buttock. And then we're going to hug both knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice side-to-side rock. Keep your right knee hugged into your chest and extend your left leg all the way out into the ground. And then just hold your right knee. Really hug it in. Find a little glute stretch. And let's transition this into a twist. Right arm opens out to the right. You're just going to twist yourself to the left. You can hook the toes behind your left thigh. You can just let your right foot be on the knee side of your left leg, whatever works for you. You can even bend both legs if that's better for you. Two more breaths. Come on back up and hug the right knee in. Bring the left knee to meet it. You're free to rock side to side if that feels good. And then we're just going to keep the left knee hugged into the chest. Right leg extends out. So this is wind relieving pose. Really hug that left knee in. It's a final glute stretch on the left side as well. And then we're going to transition this into our twist. So you're just opening your left arm out and twisting to the right. Remember, if you want a deeper twist, hook your left toes inside or behind your right near thigh. If you want it a little gentler, your foot rests in front of your right leg. If you want it super gentle, you bend both knees. One more breath. Come on back up. Hug your left knee in. Bring your right knee up to meet it. Give yourself a good side to side rock. Place your feet flat on the mat. Big toes are touching and heels are separated. Just 3 breaths in a basic bridge pose. Lift your hips. Open up the front part of the hips, engaging your glutes. 3 breaths here. Slowly coming down, hugging the knees into the chest, grabbing the feet or ankles, wiggling around for a few breaths in happy baby. Just maybe taking stock of what you did with your hips and your glutes this morning. All those pigeon variations really pay off, not only with keeping our hips supple, but also keeping the spine and low back happy. When you feel like you're ready, you're going to put your feet flat on the mat. Let the knees drop open, soles of the feet together. Take a couple of breaths, just relaxing here, allowing the inner thighs to stretch. And then on your next inhale, we're going to tilt the pelvis back and take the curve out of the spine. So we're just giving the low back muscles an opportunity to lengthen before we go into Shavasana. On your next exhale, just relax. Let the curve come back into your spine. One more time, inhale, press the low back into the mat, just flatten. Exhale and release. Begin to extend your legs, separate the feet. Make sure those buns are totally relaxed. You want really soft glutes right now. And then let the spine lengthen, shoulders relax, hands or palms up below your shoulders, neck is long. Your teeth are slightly separated because your jaw is relaxed. Eyes are gently closed, forehead is smooth. Deep breath in through the nose. Sigh out any remaining tension through your mouth. And just let your body melt into the floor. As your breath softens in coordination with the relaxed muscles of your body, I want you to just start watching your breath. Don't control it, don't manipulate it, don't lengthen it, don't do anything to your breath except observe. As you're observing your breath, you're going to notice that there is a spontaneous, brief pause at the end of every exhale. You're not doing it. There's just a moment that automatically happens at the end of your exhale when all movement ceases. The breath becomes still. And then the next inhale rushes in. You're not doing it, you're just watching it. I want you to start really watching for that pause at the end of every exhale.
You might notice that the more relaxed you get, that longer the pause becomes, but not because you're lengthening it. Remember, you're only witnessing it. You're just watching. If your mind wanders, just bring it back. Watch your breath. No control of the breath. Simple observation. Waiting and watching, anticipating that moment of stillness and silence at the end of every exhale. Total stillness, total silence, total cessation of the movement of the breath. Just for a moment. I'd like you to notice now if you've been able to stick with complete absorption in that pause at the end of your exhale, that during that moment in your mind, the thoughts also cease just for a second. Total stillness, total silence upstairs in the head. We have access to this stillness and silence anytime we need it. And the breath is the gateway. That's your portal. Start to move your fingers and toes a little bit. Start to deepen your breath. When you're ready, breathe in and spread your fingers and toes. Exhale with a soft sigh as you relax them, and then inhale and stretch to your fullest length, full body stretch, and then exhale with a soft sigh as you relax. Bend your knees in whatever way works for you and roll to your right side. Press yourself up into sitting and find your nice straight aligned spine. So this morning we're going to be doing a true alternate nostril breath, Nadi Shodhana, that helps balance out left and right nasal passages, the energies, all of that stuff. And we're told that when all of that is balanced, that we have no choice but to turn inward. So we're going to use the right hand. I'd like you to tuck the first two fingers of your right hand under the pad of the thumb. If that's too uncomfortable, rest them in the center of your forehead. That way your right thumb can block your right nostril. Ring and pinky finger block the left. We're going to do it as Samavriti, which means same ratio. 6-second inhale, 6-second exhale. Being very mindful to fill the lungs in 6 seconds and empty them in 6. We'll do them all together. If that feels too long for you, then please shorten it. If it feels too short for you, it just means you have to try a little harder to really fit within those parameters. So straight spine, left hand can just rest on your left knee or thigh. Take a deep breath in through both nostrils. Exhale completely through both nostrils. We're going to do 3 rounds of this. Block the right side, breathe in through the left. Exhale through the right. Breathe in through the right. Breathe out through the left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. And exhale left. Last round, inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. And exhale left. Relax your right hand down. And I'd like you to just sit with your eyes closed, breathing normal. Notice how you feel. Notice if you feel as though it's easier to sit here uninvolved in your thoughts. Notice if you feel as though your focus is more inner directed and outer directed. Just observe and witness everything going on. Slowly bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a moment in gratitude for your breath, for your body, for this practice, for your life. So many things to be grateful for. Open your eyes and look for them, and I promise you, you'll see them. Take one more deep breath in through your nose. Big sigh through the mouth. Palms to the forehead, reminding us to just be present and also to be grateful. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth and to speak our thanks. Palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open so we can practice kindness and compassion and love and show our gratitude. Thank you for joining me this morning. Namaste.